The San Francisco 49ers are tied for the best record in the NFL through 5 weeks. Steph Sanchez and I are going to talk about everything that's going on, a little fact or fiction, and all more right after this. I'm Jason Aponte. That's Steph Sanchez. This is the Bully Ball Podcast on the Gold Standard Podcast Network, the only 49ers podcast that is not in first place due to strength of victories. Steph, how are you? It's good to see you after a week off.
I'm great. I'm great. I mean, yeah, coming off an electric win, Thursday night football, had
You
fun
were
in
there.
LA. I know. The SoFi most definitely pumps noise in there, just so we're clear. It's pretty obvious. Um, but in any case, it was an all timer. I think that was an instant classic.
For sure, absolutely. And I knew that they pumped in noise in 2021 when I was there for the NFC Championship game because I'm like, where's this noise coming from? It's all Niners fans in here. So sneaky SoFi. But before all that, Steph, friends have rivalries. We're competitive. You and I faced off this week in fantasy football in our dynasty league on Sleeper. And my team is very much banged up, but like a coach who didn't get his team prepared, I blew it by not starting Theo Johnson, who literally caught all the touchdown passes. I started him every other week, and then this week I said, you know what, I'm going to go with Tommy Trumbull because he had a hot game. Congratulations on the win.
I I saw you had him in your lineup early in the week, and as I was watching that game, I thought he was still in your lineup. So I was like, "Oh, damn! Like I'm screwed." And then it came down to the Monday Night Football game, Xavier Worthy, and then Travis Kelsey. I hate when these matchups come down to the Monday Night Football games because when you got to wait a little bit longer, and then it
Mm.
all comes down to usually just a one player. What's funny is I needed a hell of a performance from Xavier Worthy in another league, and I needed him to do terribly in ours. And so I guess either way, it was a win-win for me. But it felt good, Jay, to beat you, and knowing that we'd have to talk about it on this show. So yeah, but rivalries are interesting that way. They go back and forth. So maybe you can win the next one.
Yeah, I knew it was over when that washed car salesman walked in on that 1 yard touchdown. I was just like, my God, just go away, dude. I knew his stat line was going to be like 4 catches for 37 yards and a touchdown. Like, get out of here, man. But we are talking about sleepers, so let's keep it on that. Guys, the NFL season is here, which means you now have a chance to win 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football. Pick stats like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more. Up to 1,000 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right and you could win big. And for a limited time only, new users will get a free $20 entry. And don't forget to use our promo code GSP. You'll get up to $100 match up to your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Steph, in our league, I feel like I'm a fringe playoff team at 3-2. And I think my team has done very well. Shout out to Keenan Allen. And we're banged up. We're down Lamar Jackson. But you got to keep going. But we're a fringe playoff team. I think I have to make some win now moves and move off some draft capital, which you see that segue, brings us to the San Francisco 49ers. And Steph Sanchez and I are going to play a little game called Fact or Fiction. And the first topic is Fact or Fiction. The win over the Rams means John Lynch should make a blockbuster trade.
I'm going to say fiction, but with the caveat, because the key word here for me is blockbuster. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it necessarily needs to be a blockbuster trade, but I absolutely think that this win on Thursday up against the wall, it's facing so much adversity and still fighting to the very end. It tells me a lot about this team, Jay, and I think it tells John Lynch a lot about this team. This is a team worth investing in, right? So, and not just that, you're still dealing with numerous injuries at the defensive line. Now, Yetur Gross-Matos is going to miss some time, so you need some help there. And that's why I say it doesn't need to be a blockbuster trade. It I wouldn't even be surprised if it's not just for an edge rusher. They need defensive tackle help as well. They worked out a slew of defensive tackles or defensive linemen today. So they're looking. We're already seeing some trades happening across the league. I'm sure the 49ers are already putting their feelers out there. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they make two mid-round, late-round, maybe a conditional pick type of trade, before the deadline.
I say fiction. I don't know about a blockbuster, and I want to
Yeah.
explain myself here. The Trey Hendrickson thing is obviously what this is alluding to. But does the Cincinnati Bengals trading for Joe Flacco signal that they're ready to quit? Zach Taylor is fighting for his job. And again, I want to reiterate to San Francisco 49ers fans, just because you want a player and just because a team has a player doesn't mean that they have to agree to anything or help your team because you root for that team. Okay? So the Trey Hendrickson thing is, we'll see. Whatever. That isn't really where I'm looking. I suspect the 49ers who have done this before, an Arden Key type who he could be available. The Titans are awful. A Charles Omenihu type, right? Maybe even somebody like a Chase Young. So that screams like Kayvon Thibodeau. There's a lot of guys out there, right? But I do want to point something out because I was very bullish on this 49ers defense, and I was very bullish on this 49ers pass rush being able to keep the pressure going even after Nick Bosa was out. But I do want to point something out, and this is from SF Data Niners. They do a great job. If you guys are looking for somebody to follow on Twitter, they have a tons of great information. With Bosa on the field, San Francisco ranked as the second best pass defense in the league. Without him, their performance has fallen below league average. The run defense currently ranks higher, though it's inflated by the recent fumble recoveries. So, yes, I think the 49ers are going to make trades, and I think this win has reinvigorated them. Win on Sunday, and it's, oh, baby, after that. It's all the way on, if you have this win against Tampa Bay, but it's not going to be Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby. I just want to reiterate one more thing. Younger, cheaper, that doesn't fall in line with Hendrickson, Max Crosby.
Right.
You
Yeah.
still have to pay a bunch of these guys. So, and the other thing is, I don't want 49er fans to be bummed when it is someone lower on the rung that is there, like an Arden Key who can, give you that positional flexibility that you had with Yetur Gross-Matos, who's playing so well and flying under the
Yeah.
radar. That is really going to be an impactful miss. But I do think that the names may blow you away, but if they're utilized in the proper way and the cascading effect is an improvement on the defensive line, that's all you really should be looking for. But I do think right now, when you look at it 4-1, clearly you don't look around the NFC and see anybody that's running away with this. I mean, the 49ers are tied for first. But you will see something. I just don't think it's going to be one of those big names. Hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe the 49ers correct course and they change, but I just don't see how younger and cheaper equates to trade for Max Crosby and take on that huge, massive contract that he has while we still have to pay Nick Bosa. At least the Hendrickson thing, that's 1 year. And Kayvon Thibodeau, that's a 2-year cost-controlled guy. That's really important. He has a 5th-year option. So I will say the 49ers will make trades. Fiction on this one with the blockbuster trade.
And just to put a bow on that one, and just knowing that the 49ers absolutely need someone, Nick Bosa has missed 2 full games, virtually 3 if you count the one where he exited pretty early, and he's still 3rd as far as total pressures on the team, like if that tells you anything, right? So they need someone to fill that. And who we were just talking about, Yetur Gross-Matos, is 4th on the list with 9 pressures on the season. So again, like they're now going to miss both of those guys for at least these next few weeks. We know Bose is out for the rest of the season, but you need to get some of that production somehow, right? And so they need extra bodies in here and plenty of opportunity throughout the league, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, bodies, right? Like we made fun of like, hey, we're pining for Kendrick Bourne. I can't wait for Kevin Gibbons to come back. Like, and just have guys, just guys rotating. The one thing that you will say that is really good about what's going on with this 49ers defensive line is the week after week jump from Alfred Collins. And that has been incredible, man. And if that continues, if these trends continue, then that's something different, which made this entire time before the trade deadline all about fact finding and information and figuring out who you are. What do we have in house? How can we improve this? You do need a sample size of what it's like without Nick Bosa. The 49ers have now, what is it, 2 games, 3 games now? Without it, or it's 2 games, right? If
Two
I'm not
full
mistaken.
games, yeah. Two
Two
full
full games.
games. Yeah.
You've got 2 full games of information. You still need a little bit more. But speaking of information, this is why everybody's here. Speaking of information, Mac Jones has started 3 games. Brock Purdy started 2. Why are we here? Fact or fiction? The 49ers should ride the hot hand at quarterback, Steph Sanchez.
Sorry, you froze up for a second.
No, you're good. No, I
Okay.
didn't freeze up. Yeah, just kidding.
Oh. You were letting that marinate a little bit. You're letting it
Yeah,
cook.
just dramatic pause.
Hot hand, fire, cook. Heat check. All those things. I mean, I think the biggest difference so far, Jay, between Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, for me personally, has been protecting the football. I mean, and I know, Brock has played 2 games to Mac's 3, and you wouldn't know it based on the difference in Brock Purdy has thrown 4 interceptions to Mac Jones's 1, right? So I think that's a big key factor. I think what we keep saying about, what does Brock do better than Mac? I think we definitely know he has that mobility. Although in the games that Mac has played in, it hasn't been that big of a factor where it's necessarily hurt the team that he hasn't been super mobile. And in 2 of those games, he's literally been playing with like 1 good leg, so I think that's not a huge worry for me. But I think it's important to emphasize too that this conversation and this question is not one that we're particularly ready to answer right now in week 6. I mean, going into week 6. I think this is something that it all has to do with Brock Purdy and how long he's going to be out. And I think you have the luxury with a quarterback like Mac Jones right now. You have the luxury that if he's playing well, you could put Brock Purdy on ice for however long until for sure he is 100%. And because there is a price on, Brock Purdy and, the value that he has on this team, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword for Brock in a way because he costs so much. It's what's going to keep the 49ers wanting to protect their investment. And so in that case, it's going to mean he probably misses more games because they're going to wait until he's absolutely 100%. And on the other hand, that means that there's going to be opportunity for Mac Jones here. Now, I don't think Mac Jones is setting out to take Brock Purdy's job. He's made that very clear. He knows his role and his place in this offense. And I don't think that I guess it really depends. I have a hard time answering this right now because I need to see how it's going to play out. Do you see, Jay, and like no matter what, like they just roll with Mac? Like if they keep winning with Mac, he beats the Bucs. It looks good. Assuming he doesn't keep, re-injuring this this knee injury that he has as well. That's also important. And he continues to win games. You just go back to, like, how long do you let that go on before you're like, we've seen enough, like, we're still going to go back to Purdy? Or is it not even a thought in your mind?
Rob, get the bleep button ready. I want to make this completely clear, and this is the definitive answer here before I give you actual insight. I don't give a shit which of these 2 quarterbacks starts. Give me the one who wins the games. I'm not going to root for Mac Jones to lose because I want Brock Purdy to play. I'm not going to root for Brock Purdy to lose because I want Mac Jones to play. Let me be very clear. Now, let me also say this. Mac Jones was the perfect quarterback on Thursday to execute that offense with that personnel against that defense. Perfect. The perfect quarterback. Everything underneath. Quick, decisive throws. All of those things are true. But I do want to see what he looks like with Ricky Pearsall back. Let's see. With Jawan Jennings back. Let's see. Against this Bucs defense and this Bucs offense that you're going to have to score points against. You are going to have to score points against. This is not going to be a game where you're going to be able to just dink and dunk underneath and play ball control. You're going to have to do what the Seattle Seahawks did last week, which is throw the football and score points. So I don't care. But I do want to see what Mac Jones looks like with this full complement of weapons. Obviously, no Kittle, right? But I do want to see him have to push the ball a little bit further downfield because of the personnel that he has, because you can take those chances against that Rams defense. I need to see all those things. Bottom line is, 3 games is nowhere near a place where you need to be making any grand proclamations besides the
Mhm.
one that I just made that I don't care who it is. But I need to see more information. I need to see Brock as healthy as possible. What is it about, like, just seeing how this plays out? And if we're going off of recent history, which I don't want to be a negative Nelly, one of these guys is going to get banged up, so you better hope you have the other one just in case, because this is just what it's been. There's nothing wrong with having 2 good quarterbacks. What the 49ers have is a franchise quarterback and a backup who's a starting level quarterback. That's the best way you can put it. So for now, no grand proclamations. Brock's still the guy when it's time for him to get ready, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. As of right now, whoever's the guy that gives them the best chance to win now and stack these wins is who it should be. And this idea that the splintering of you need to be on one side of the other is nonsensical and silly.
Yeah, and I feel like we've had similar conversations in the past because the 49ers always seem to find themselves in these like quarterback dilemmas where one of them gets hurt and someone steps up and they do well. But to kind of draw parallels to past situations as well, you think about Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick, you think about Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy. You have to take into account that I think at that time, the 49ers were entertaining the idea or at least okay with moving on from either of those guys. And I think in this case, it's a little bit different. 49ers literally just paid Brock Purdy. So I don't think it's even really crossed their mind that they would go with Mac Jones. Because listen, if you go with the hot hand, that's a decision. Like there's not really a lot of going back there that you could fix. I think in this case, it's a little bit different. You're not gonna move on from Brock Purdy after having just paid him like literally yesterday. You know what I mean? So that it is what it is. I think we know that, but I 100% agree with you, Jay, and I think everyone else should too. That whoever's winning the games is who we need to rally behind. Point blank. Period. 49ers are in the business of needing to win games. We as fans need to be in the business of wanting them to win games, regardless of who's the damn quarterback, as long as said quarterback is the best one that's going to get them those W's. I will say this. I will wait. Like we will wait to, have any real judgments on this one. So I don't know if we're really saying fact or fiction on this one quite yet. But I will say it gets very, very interesting if Mac, is healthy enough to play this game on Sunday and is able to beat the Bucs under, as you said, like different circumstances. And it's going to be a tougher game where the Bucs could go toe for toe on, against the Niners or against any team and just start scoring points.
The one thing, if I could say I could, because I just watched Together with James Franco's little brother and his wife, Allison Brie, and they, basically, you get where I'm going, they fuse together. The one thing I would love to give Brock that Mac has is the protecting the football part.
Yeah.
That part. Like if I could give Mac Jones something from Brock, it would be his wheels.
Yeah. Building the perfect quarterback.
Yeah. Like, so look, the answer is somewhere in the middle. Right now, we don't have to make any grand decisions, but I do think that there is a rush to jump out on one side. And here we go. We're veterans for this. Steph, people wouldn't know who you and I are if it wasn't for quarterback controversies, right? We built YouTube channels and platforms on quarterback controversies. We're veterans to this. We're not new to this. We're not new to this. Not new to this. So I'm good. You can get whatever hot take you want from anybody. For me, just like the 49ers are doing in this situation with fact finding, that's what I'm going to do, is fact find and I'm going to continue to fact find until I feel that I've gotten to a place where I feel fully confident and brave to make my takes. Let's see. We got some of these super chats in here. Um, let's see. Rob, you posted. All right. Let's wait till midseason and reevaluate Purdy. Yeah, I mean, look, as long as Mac is winning games, what's the rush to bring Brock Purdy back? Right? Like I really don't
Right.
understand. Like it's not that difficult. It shouldn't be that difficult at all. Rob, I think we had another one too. Okay, yeah. Giannis, thank you so much, man. I love Mac, but he's been checking down for 80% of his attempts. If he was throwing big time throws at a high clip, then maybe, but it's Kyle. So to this, first of all, thank you for the generous donation. To this, I would say that game plan was very specific to the personnel that he had of Kendrick Bourne, Demarcus Robinson, and God, I'm blanking on who else was out there. Like it didn't even look like that's how bad it was. But these aren't natural separators, right? So I want to see Mac, and this is why I need more information. I want to see Mac with a fully healthy Ricky Pearsall, with a fully healthy Juwan Jennings, maybe even a Brandon Ayuk, where the ball gets thrown down the field a little bit more as a product of you getting guys who can separate. When the 49ers have Demarcus Robinson and Kendrick Bourne on the field, they don't have natural separators. They have to create that space. And that's what Kyle Shanahan and Mac Jones did. And that's what they did as a masterclass. That's one of Kyle Shanahan's best game plan games of all time. You understand that the Rams are deep zone. They're going to keep dropping deep zone. Cool. We're going to hit you underneath and we're going to get our yak and we're going to get the ball out quickly to supplant that pass rush. So I just think that was specific to that. I don't think Mac is gun shy. I think Mac wants to, but he was in a position where the game plan called for him to get the ball out quickly, for him to protect the football, and for them to control the clock and keep the Rams off the field. Because once that offense got on the field, it was a laser show. Stafford was everywhere. Bang, 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 bang. You know, like that. Like that's what they were trying to avoid. So we don't have to run into any of this, but I would like to see Mac Jones go toe to toe with Baker Mayfield and, go ahead and go off a little bit, but you are going to need Ricky Pearsall. We'll find out a little bit more about that. You're not going to be able to play that type of game with them because that Bucs offense it's one of the top offenses right now. It's one of the hottest in football right now. So we'll
So
see.
just for reference to add on to that, average completed air yards, Mac Jones is in a pretty good spot, a little over middle of the pack at 5.6. That is just 0.1 above Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield, who we were just talking about, 5.1. So he's, like just to put it into perspective, like, yes, throughout the 3 games that Mac has played in, it hasn't all been dink and dunk. To Jay's point, the game plan against the Rams, it really depended on them doing that, and otherwise, and you saw how many times he was on the ground or getting hit. Now imagine if he wasn't getting the ball out as quickly as he was on Sunday. So yeah, it was part of the game plan and a pretty good one in my opinion, but he is most definitely capable of, passing a little bit further if he needs to.
Thank you for the donation again, Master Sith 40. First of all, your picture is excellent. I see the DC heroes in there. They're dope. It says Choker Hand tried to rush Purdy back unnecessary. So here's the thing, and this is why if 49er fans feel like they're being lied to with their injury reports, here it is for you. Friday before that Sunday game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, Brock Purdy had a full participation with no injury designation going into the game. And then 2 minutes into the game and you start to see him, you say, oh no, he's not right.
Mm-hmm.
And Mac Jones was questionable with the PCL that same week. Fast forward to the next week for Thursday. Simulated practices, not real practices. Mac Jones, fully healthy, no injury designation. Literally, anytime that he falls on his knee, that thing is aggravated. So neither of these guys are healthy, and they're lying. Flat out lying. How can a guy be full participation with no no injury designation, and then immediately you notice, boom. Thank you for another donation. We won't have any quarterbacks if McKivitz can't block. McKivitz has been fine. He's not the problem. I am far more worried about Connor Colby. I am far more worried about Connor Colby. I will tell you that.
We were excited after when he came in, filled in admirably for the one game. That dude's head is spinning fast out there. And
Ben Ben Barch, I hope you know how much we are thinking about you.
Sorry for everything, buddy.
Yeah.
We
Hey,
didn't mean
listen,
it.
all those things about like it might get better with Kobe, I didn't say that. Um, all right, Rob, what's the next fact or fiction? Fact or fiction, the 49ers can get by with this wide receiver core until Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall return. I'll let you start.
um, I'm going to say fact. And I only say that because, one, I do think Brandon Ayuk is going to be out for quite some time.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know if we're gonna see him this year. I mean, look, if we do, we'll just say, hey, that's cool, but I'm not counting on it.
yeah, no, I don't think we should at this point. And Ricky Pearsall should be back soon. But in any case, if they needed to go into, say, another game without Ricky Pearsall, even maybe without Jennings, like, yes, it was a bunch of who's who of who's out there. But if Kendrick Bourne could play like he did, on Thursday, I think that'd be fine. But I think the biggest key for them is Christian McCaffrey,
Mm-hmm.
who has been doing everything like as a receiver and doing it pretty damn well. So he's been the key, I think, that is keeping the wide receiver situation afloat. And I get it, he's not a wide receiver per se, but you can still get a pass game going with him on the field. We talk about his gravity as well. Even when he doesn't have the ball, he's creating space for others. So yeah, to me, he's the key. And then assuming that we get George Kittle back week 7, that's fine. They can stay afloat with that.
I think this is a week to week thing because if you're asking me about this, let's just say it is Demarcus Robinson and Kendrick Bourne and, you know, whatever, Marcus Valdes-Scantling, right? This week against the Bucks, that's not
God.
enough. That's not enough. That's not enough this week. It's not enough. It's just not enough. Um, so and we are on the cusp of this, right? Like we don't know how long it's going to be with Pearsall, right? You don't like seeing whatever, the bonus practice. He doesn't have a designation. He doesn't practice. Fine, it's still Monday. I'm not going to panic, right? It's today's Tuesday. It's fine. We're going to find out in a little bit. So maybe Pearsall does come back. Um, I think it's week to week, and I think that's what made last week's analysis of the game so interesting is because everyone went to rush to say, well, they're missing this guy and this guy and this guy. How are they going to be in this game? Yeah, but styles make fights in the NFL. And just because guys are out, there's still ways to implement guys against certain defenses and get the most out of them. And that was the most opportune time. That was the easiest one to go through based on the fact that the Rams are a deep zone team. The Rams do have a good pass rush, and they did have a quarterback who can capably do that. Now, you don't want to take that game plan into this Bucks game plan. Absolutely not. You don't want that now. So we're gonna find out. But I think week to week it can be. But Kyle Shanahan's coaching his ass off right now. And if Mac Jones can continue to protect the football and they are holding on to the football as long as they can, then they have as good a shot as any. But I don't want to go into this gunfight with a knife this week. I'll say that. I really don't want to do that because no matter what, Mike Evans might not play in this game, and Bucky Irvin's definitely not playing in this game. But Sterling Shepard is out there with Ibuka, and Godwin's still not fully
Luka's
back.
crazy.
Yeah, and Rashad White is a very capable backup. Like I'm not looking at this game like, hey, Mike Evans and Bucky aren't there. It's fine. No, 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 no. With the way Baker's playing, those guys are very capable. So I do not want to go into this gunfight with a knife this week. I will tell you that. I'm not talking about
Yeah.
the quarterback. I'm talking about the offensive specifically.
That's definitely fair. On the Kyle Shanahan like coaching his butt off thing, I want to talk about that for a second because I agree with you. And I almost feel like, and I want to get your thoughts, Shay. I feel like everything that he went through last year with missing so many guys and having a hard time like adjusting to the personnel that he did end up having to deal with. I feel like he learned from all of that and almost made a concerted effort like in the off season to be like, whoever is out there, I'm going to find a way to make this work because it looks way more put together, even when there has been some randos out there. And, we've seen it with our own 2 eyes. There's been a lot of randos out there, especially in the wide receiver group. You don't have a run game going. Like how, if you looked at all of those things going into the season and you knew that was going to be the case, we'd be like, oh God, like this is going to be really ugly. But I feel like there's been so many good adjustments, even like from week to week. Do you think like that's just from learning, the hard way last year and just everything that it go through?
I think he's been coaching his ass off this year, and I think all things considered, with all of these injuries and no running game at all, and at times pass protection leaking, and no weapons. It's this is probably one of his best coaching jobs, if not his best. And we can get right into it. Fact or fiction? Kyle Shanahan is the coach of the year through 5 weeks. Now the reason that this is fiction is because the NFL won't give it to him. And Shane Steichen's having a very good year, 4-1. Liam Cohen's 4-1, and they love to give it to anybody but Kyle Shanahan. And I have a little bit of a rant on deck right here. I've been holding this one in.
Good.
Brian Dabble wins a coach of the year over Kyle Shanahan because the Giants make the playoffs and win a playoff game. Kevin Stefanski wins wins coach of the year because he does something that nobody's ever done, which is win three different starting quarterbacks and make the playoffs. Wait. Oh, someone has done that. Here's the problem. You know why I'm having a problem with people disrespecting Kyle this season and getting away from it is because of what we're seeing across the league. Let me explain. The San Francisco 49ers are starting their backup quarterback, albeit he is a starting quarterback, I think, and he's revitalized his market. I think he's a starting quarterback. Zach Taylor has a backup quarterback in Jake Browning, had to trade for Joe Flacco. You still have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown. Yeah. And I'm not asking you to win games. I'm asking you to have one successful offensive drive. I'm not asking you to win games. I don't suspect that you are going to beat teams with Jake Browning, but your offense is at a standstill. You cannot get anything generated. That's never been Kyle's thing. Even when the team doesn't win games, Nick Mullins is going to put up more passing yards than everybody not named Andrew Luck and Patrick Mahomes. I got more. The great John Harbaugh. Oh, what a coach. Oh, you got injuries. Oh, your quarterback's hurt. Oh, your offense doesn't work at all, and you still have Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers. Oh, what happened? Todd Monken? What happened? John Harbaugh? Do you see what I'm saying? Everybody around the league is giving passes to everyone else for being backups and all that stuff and having backups. And Kyle Shanahan is literally making every time that he has this opportunity into a quarterback controversy because of the type of coach he is. And people don't care about that at all. But Kevin Stefanski does it, and he wins coach of the year. One more example, and I don't want to pile on a guy because he is going to be fired soon. Mike McDaniel, when Tua Tagovailoa leaves your offense and Skylar Thompson has to start, or anybody else, what on earth happens to that offense? It goes to an absolute screeching halt. Can't even get first downs. Can't even function. Why is it that happens to everybody else but Kyle? And if you want to point to saying, hey, Kyle Shanahan didn't win a lot of games with Nick Mullins, yeah, that's true. But Kyle Shanahan's offense still was moving the football with Nick Mullins because of the type of coach he is. So I just want to know, why is it that nobody's saying any of that? John Harbaugh's getting shot a ton of bail because he won a Super Bowl 13 years ago against his brother, and yet hasn't gotten anywhere near that again. And now Lamar's out, and you got all these injuries, and now your offense, even with Derrick Henry, you can't do anything. But Kyle gets no grace or anything like that for, making Kendrick Bourne into a 10-catch guy for 142 yards and elevating Mac Jones and making Jake Ton just catch the first passes of his career. No grace. I just want to get that off my chest, Steph.
It's very fascinating because it almost feels like it's become this expectation that, Kyle Shanahan is just so good, so why should we reward him for it kind of thing. Like the fact that, what was the year that they played like 3 or 4 different quarterbacks in the same season? He didn't get it that year.
2022. That's the year that Dabble. That's the year that Dabble won it, and then yet they turned around and gave it to Stefanski for the same exact reason.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say fact on this just because that's how I feel. And yes, maybe it is a little biased because I saw people mentioning Liam Cohen as well. He's certainly up there in that conversation too. But context matters. I mean, and the context is that Kyle Shanahan is doing it with less. It's not the first time that he's done it with less, but it's about time he finally gets some recognition for it. And I feel like, people who aren't 49er fans are seeing what Kyle Shanahan is doing and saying like he saying the same thing, like he's coaching his ass off. He is coach of the year so far, and that's just what I believe. I think he deserves it. Now, whether he gets it or not because he's simply held to a different standard, I mean, that would be kind of insane to me. And yeah, I agree. If he didn't win it that one year, it's like he probably never will, because that was just a masterclass in coaching. And we'll see how the rest of this season goes, I guess. But so far, it's been pretty damn good for Kyle Shanahan as well.
Yeah, the NFL loves the new guy, Cohen, Steichen. Well, even though Steichen's not new, but he's popping out with Daniel Jones. And by the way, that defense is ridiculous. Could you imagine if the 49ers ever had players like DeForest Buckner or Charvarius Ward? How good could they be? But yeah, it's probably going to be one of those two guys. That's why I say fiction. But I do think that this is the best job that Kyle Shanahan has done under all the circumstances. And the fan base a little bit on edge about like, oh, what's this next chapter going to look like? Seems like we're in pretty good hands. Even when
Who would have
the
thought?
49ers, yeah, right? Even when the 49ers are literally dropping back with Mac Jones 40-something times, doesn't seem to matter. Doesn't seem like that's a smart game plan, but hey, here we are. So, yeah, I agree with that one. Rob, what do you got for us next? Fact or fiction? If Malik Mustafa comes back this week, he should replace Marcus Siegel. Ooh, this one's on you. Marcus Siegel right now, and I just want to say, I'm gonna pass it to you real quick. Marcus Siegel right now might be the most under fire 49er on the field, on either side of the field, besides maybe Connor Colby. But Marcus Siegel's taking a lot of heat right now.
Okay. And I feel like I maybe take some responsibility for that. I did put out a tweet last week that pointed out Jay's like, yeah, it was you.
It was you. It was you. It literally was you. Like,
Not me starting the narrative.
Not you starting the drama. Are you the drama, Cardi B? Yeah, you are.
Okay, so, and I felt bad because I was like, no, I'm not trying to, poo-poo him or anything like that. I like Marquez Siegel. And what have we always said, Jay, that we prefer a rookie or just like a young player with less experience to make mistakes than a veteran who's just as capable of making the same mistakes, because at least a rookie has the room to grow and learn from said mistakes. That's what I think about Marquez Siegel right now. And as of right now, it's just an objective fact that he is getting picked on in coverage. And the reason that I said it ahead of this game against the Rams was because I expected that we would see that in that game. And we did see it a number of times. Not that I enjoyed being right. I don't like the opposing team getting, big gains or things like that. But here's what I do believe at the same time. Marcus Siegel is going to improve because what a lot of people, optimistic people said in those replies, and I also agree because I've also seen it with my own two eyes, is that he is in position. He's not getting burned or anything like that. This is a positive sign. He needs to learn how to, I guess,
play the ball,
because he's right there. It happened on the play. Was it Ferguson? Yeah, it was Ferguson, right, on that one play. And he gets his hand in there, just, not enough strength.
And that's a big man.
It is. And, to be fair, he's been getting matched up with a lot of tight ends, right? And so that's the matchup that opposing teams are liking right now. The big guys who can, outstrength Marquez Siegel, right? So I'm not knocking him. And I think this is fiction. I want Marquez Siegel to stay on the field because I want him to continue to improve. I think the guy who needs to get off the field is Jason Pinnock. And I even said that in replies because people are like saying good things about Pinnock. And I'm like, I don't know, man. He hasn't been that good either in my mind. And what is he? A veteran. So if I had to choose between the two, and, mind you, I do think that, Robert Saleh could be creative in the way that he can maybe use different guys in different situations. Like we've seen Jair Brown, find his way onto the field even still. So I could see a scenario in which, Robert Saleh does that. We see Chase Lucas, at the nickel, still getting some snaps there as well, matchup based. So they could continue to do that. But I say this is fiction. I want Siegel to continue to start and learn.
This is fiction. Pinnock's coming off the field when Mustafa comes back, and here's why. Robert Saleh told you, we're ready to go through the bumps and bruises with these guys. Siegel hasn't played that poorly that you can't see some sort of improvement from it. And it's like you said, Steph, and like we always talk about, Jason Pinnock's ceiling is capped. Marcus Siegel's ceiling is through the roof. And he is very good in run. You can see him triggering downfield fast. Yes, he's not leaving the field. He is not. And I want to point something else out too. I understand those numbers look bad. But did you guys watch that throw that Matthew Stafford made to Tutu Atwell from one hash to the other side of the field? Like, you're going to blame Marcus Siegel for one of the most brilliant throws you've ever seen in your... It's okay to give credit to the other team too and say those guys get paid too. At the same time, if you see Siegel have a coverage bust or something, you can call that out as well. But I'm not going to sit here and just say, hey, man, hey, you got to do something with that. There was nothing to do with that throw. There was nothing to do. It was literally Stafford rolling out and throwing it. He threw the ball, and if you were watching it on Amazon Prime Vision, there was no one that was even close to getting under the ball. And all of a sudden, you just see little Tutu Atwell just float right under it, and it's a perfect throw. And he caught, and I'm just like, and I jumped out of my seat. Yowza is what I yelled. I don't even know if that makes sense. That's how good that was. He's going to take his lumps. They're going to roll it out with him. They're doing the same thing with all the rookies that they intend to have in those positions. He's not leaving the field, in my opinion. I feel very confident about that. But no, this is fiction. Absolutely. I agree with you, Steph Sanchez. Marcus Siegel should stay on the field, improve, and keep going. All right, what do we got, Rob? Fact or fiction? The 49ers should add another quarterback regardless of whether it's Brock or Max starting. I'm going to say fact, and I think the quarterback is Josh Allen. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. There's your blockbuster trade right there.
Bills, I give you Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. You give us and you give us Josh Allen. Two quarterbacks can equal one,
no?
Right? That's just basic math. Who says no, right?
Those are like the type of trades that I try to get in fantasy leagues. I just put
right. Well, all right. Well, you have to test out the waters first, right? Like, for instance, I put Brock Bowers on in one of my leagues. I put him on the block. And someone sent me, I'll send you Zach Ertz for Brock Bowers. And I sent him a nasty text message like, don't you ever disrespect me like that again. But, Steph, let's get to it. Fact or fiction, the 49ers should add another quarterback regardless of whether it's Brock or Max starting.
I think this needs to be fact. I think and this is a weird situation, but it's a situation the 49ers always seem to find themselves in. It's like one quarterback gets hurt and, suddenly the backup's hurt as well. Like, why can't we just be normal? But you can't be that close to having Adrian Martinez go in even at spot duty, right? I mean, that's too close for comfort.
Real quick, Steph, I don't know because you were at the game. So Mac is on the ground, and they cut to Adrian Martinez, and Adrian Martinez is like, oh, shit, not me, man, please. Like, please get up, Mac. And when Mac got up, he walked over, and he tapped him on the shoulder, and he was like, all right, good job, man. Like, that was by far one of the funniest things that happened Thursday. My bad. Keep going.
I did see a clip of that afterwards, and it's like, damn, he's not even confident. I don't want you out there.
It's like, please, no.
I don't know if I want him out there, but I think Mike White just got released, right?
Sounds good.
If he wasn't the answer for the Bengals, does that really mean he'd be the answer for the 49ers? Then again, you're talking about QB3 here. Like,
yeah,
it can't get worse than a guy who doesn't even want to go in because he's too scared to, so yeah, I think they could stand to get better at the position. I'm sure they know that, and just kind of looking for someone who'd be available, right? But there just really isn't usually at this time of the year. We'll see if they, think about bringing in Mike White, but yeah, I think this needs to be fact.
I mean, just bringing in a body doesn't mean that you've added another quarterback, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And who's
apparently
left?
They got a body right now.
Yeah, who's left? What's Nate Sudfeld doing? What do you do here? Right? So You feel good about having two, um, but who realistically can you get to add? And it just I don't know, man. It
It's
is what
tough.
it
It's
is.
slim
Yeah.
pickings.
Yeah, it's the guys that are available on October 7th to play quarterback aren't exactly the pick of the litter. Let's just say that. And I want to be very nice about that because they are NFL football players. And we have seen guys come off the street and play very well. Joe Flacco got up off the couch, and that's literally what won Stefanski the coach of the year. Kendrick Bourne was unemployed. All of a sudden, career night, 10 catches, 142 yards, never happened. But, we might be getting dangerously close to Jawan Jennings playing quarterback, man. And I think that is the big brain scheme about Kyle is you keep Jawan Jennings around because he was a quarterback, and just in case we need to play anybody, it would be him. But yeah, no, seriously, there's just nobody you can go out there and get. You would just have to take your lumps with Martinez, and it would be a variation of the Josh Johnson offense that we
Yeah.
saw in that Eagles game. Like it just would have to be that way, unfortunately. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to live in that world, Steph. So we're gonna move on to the next topic.
Let's do it.
Rob, hit us with the next one. Fact or fiction? Steph's fit tonight is straight fire. This one's out of nowhere. What is this about? We didn't talk about this in the
What?
pre-show.
Okay, you guys wanna take
Rate
a
the
look?
fit.
I mean,
Rate the
all
fit.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
stand up. Rate the fit. Let's rate it.
It's just it's just like a athleisure, sort of sweater.
Uh huh.
It's kind of cropped
Yep.
and it's got a little, zipper action going if you want to, get a little more casual with it.
Is it? It's the baggy look, right? Like, and that's what's in now
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
right? Like we've
yeah.
gone through cycles of form fitting clothes from baggy to baggy. Everything happens in cycles. Soon we'll start wearing platforms and bell bottoms. But I think your fit is fire, Steph. I think your style is unique because it's you. And what I mean by that is everybody's style should feel like that, but it doesn't feel forced. It always feels like who you are. And that's what I really enjoy about your style, no matter what it is. If you're dripping it out with the sneakers that you have, if it's, wearing a hat, if it's not, the style is you. And that's why, a famous, I guess, poet said, clothes don't make the player make the clothes. And I think that's exactly where I'm at here with this assessment.
Well, I like your
Rob, do
hat
you have
today.
a yeah, thank you. Do you have another like real question about the 49ers, Rob?
A
Like,
real
a,
question.
a real question? Like here, that's all I got. Okay. Steph, honestly, I really was jealous that you were at that game, man. Last week was electric because I was so confident from the rip that the 49ers were going to go out there regardless of who was going to be there
You
and just
were. I
yeah.
mean, I didn't get a chance to give you credit because I wasn't on last week's show. But man, I mean, what a call to make when the chips were down, but you did the homework and you stood on it.
So let's talk 49ers Bucks. And we've got a few more minutes. We've got about 13 more minutes. So, look, last week I was very confident because of history and
Mm.
familiarity, right? Like this is just it's just who it is. Like, so many people were trying to talk themselves into the Rams blowing out the 49ers and it's just never happened regardless of who's been on the field. These teams know each other too well. I don't know why people would even be trying to take that 8.5. That was the honestly, it's the easiest money I ever made in my life. This week, the 49ers defense is up against it, against this Bucks offense. They are up against it. You know, Game of the year so far for me is Rams and 49ers, but the non-game of the year from Rams and 49ers was last week Seattle and Tampa Bay. And I
Yeah.
love defensive football. I love X's and O's. But you know what else I love? I go down the field and score, you go down the field and score. I go down the field and score, you go down the field and score. And who's gonna make the play at the end? Obviously, Sam Darnold has the interception off of the helmet, but he was excellent. It was a laser show. What a fun football game. And the best part was, all I was thinking after that game was, I get to review this game multiple times on tape because they play the Buccaneers next. This is awesome. Now, having said that, the secondary, this is it. This is it. You thought it was Puka, and you thought it was and you thought it was Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams and Matthew Stafford are clearly not on the same page yet, and Devontae Adams still is like top 4, top 5 in receiving yards or something. Oh well, that might have changed this weekend with all the big performances. But you're up against it this week. So what this game is, and what I'm going to be looking at, and when I said that I don't want to go into this game with a knife at a gunfight, is This is going to be a back and forth game in the same way with offense. You're going to have to score points. You're going to have to score points. And I don't know if the 49ers defense, particularly on the back end, is going to be equipped to slow down this offense that has been so hot, that has Emeka Egbuka playing out of his mind right now. Ohio
Yeah.
State is wide receiver U. This is going to have to be a Kyle Shanahan offensive performance. And the data that I have to back that up is Kyle Shanahan's offenses have torn up Todd Bowles' defenses every single time that they played since 2019. Now, 2019 is a little bit different because they got 2 pick sixes from Jameis Winston in that game. If you remember, that's 14 points. But that offense was Jimmy Garoppolo back in his first game after the injury in 2018. You really didn't know what you had in Debo yet. They weren't using him that way. There was a touchdown pass to Richie James on a wheel route. But for the most part, that offense kind of did what they wanted. And I want to go through some of the numbers real quick. So averaging in these last 5 games, 2.8 touchdowns per game, 22 first downs, 367 yards, 37.3 third down, and the 49ers have won out of their last 5, they have won 4. The only game they lost was in 2018 when Nick Mullins started and Dante Pettis was the wide receiver one. Jameis. 2022, Brock Purdy's first start, 35-7. The year after that, 2023, 27-14, Brock Purdy down the field to Brandon Ayuk. And then obviously last season, 23-20. The advantage in this game, this has to be a Kyle game, and this offense has to be able to score their points. It may not be on the ground, but you're going to have to score your points in this game, and this is how you're going to beat them because they are going to score their points on offense.
So I think we have a lot of faith in Kyle Shanahan. And as we were saying, like, he's having a hell of a year. The issue with Kyle has never been moving the football. The ball is moving. It is getting to the red zone. The problem is it's getting inside of the end zone at a lesser clip. One of the fewest in the league, I want to say, just as far as what their drives end up in. I think it's like 6% touchdowns right now. So that has to change. I mean, something has to change there this week if you're going to have a chance to win, because this isn't the type of game where you feel like it's going to be won by field goals, right? It's just not. It's not going to happen. And while Pinheiro has been a hell of a weapon for this team,
nothing but respect for my kicker. Nothing but respect for my kicker.
See, you see what having like an actual kicker who kicks like can do for the morale of Jay. Like, this is complete 180.
And that's all I asked was just get a guy off the street. But who listens to me?
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's the one thing that if Kyle is going to make an improvement from one week to the next, as far as this offense goes, it's going to be figuring out a way to score. You know, I think we saw some positives last week. Of course, they did, score it a bit in the first half, using Christian McCaffrey. Jake Tunges has been, I think useful in the red zone as well. I think you continue to use that as much as you can. I also want to say this, like, I know we're worried about the secondary, and you might be looking, well, look what they did to the Seahawks secondary. And I get it. Like, the Seahawks defense is pretty good. They were missing some guys in their secondary for that game as well, which I don't think helped. But I do think that secondary healthy is probably better than the 49ers are right now. Just a lot of youth, a lot of inexperience. Baker Mayfield is playing at an incredible clip right now. Egbuka, as you mentioned, has been lights out. Like, he's been everything they thought he'd be, and probably way more than that. I mean, so far this season. So I'm most worried about him. Like, I think he needs to be your sole focus. And we'll see. I mean, 2 weeks in a row where you got Puka one week and then you got Egbuka the next. I mean, that's a tough ask. It's a really tough ask for this team.
Hey, the 49ers held Puka to 85 yards.
What? I know.
That's good. No, but
that is good, but
there's not going to be a lick of defense played on Sunday.
No. Which makes for fun football, but it also, as a 49ers fan, it makes you nervous because you just know your team. That's not their game, typically.
Yeah. So, historical data against Bowles, Kyle owns him, but I think even when that Bucs defense was healthy, I would still be saying the same thing. Now they're down Jamel Dean. Their linebackers are susceptible. So again, the same thing that Kyle was doing to the Rams and putting them in the blender, you can probably expect that as well too. Yeah, this is game of the week, and you're gonna see some fireworks. I'd be very shocked if this one turned into a defensive struggle. I really would, because where's the defense gonna come from in this one? Like, it's gonna be who's going to make more plays on defense. Who's gonna protect the football. I do have
Yeah.
more good news. I know it's impossible, but I want you to come close real quick. Real quick. I'm gonna say this really, really, really quiet because I don't want to say it too loud. The Bucks are worse than the 49ers on special teams too.
Ah, 2 weeks in a row. Oh,
Kicker update.
So there has to be, and I'm not talking about missed kicks. I'm talking about, you maybe get a nice little return, or you have one of those fumbles or something like that. Like, they are 31st in the NFL. And this is 2 weeks in a row that the 49ers are going up against a team that has worse special teams. And if you want to revisit last week, the 49ers won by getting turnovers at the opportune times, special teams blunders by the Rams, drop passes by the Rams. There is the pathway to victory, but it also has to go through you at least turning the ball over once. At least, I mean, I think if we say every week this is the week they're going to get an interception, it has to be right one week, right? But there is the pathway to this. I just don't think there's going to be much defense played, because think about this. In Seattle, Tampa Bay did exactly what they wanted to do whenever they wanted to do it without Mike Evans. And I think the defensive missing players is far more hurtful than it is Mike Evans and Bucky Irvin, because Rashad White is very good, and Ibuka is balling, and Godwin's rounding back into shape, and Sterling Shepard still got it somehow. I don't understand, and they have Tez Johnson as well too. And as long as Baker's playing that well, they're always going to be in it. So this is going to be a fun one. I'm going to be looking forward to this all week, man. I'm going to be pulling clips from all of those games that I talked about and posting them on the timeline and showing you like the ways that Kyle is attacked. Hopefully, Kyle, I know you follow me on Twitter, and you crave my input so much. Hopefully you take a look and you see some of the things that you could run back against the Bucs that you have. But the 49ers have historically, under Kyle Shanahan, whipped up on Todd Bowles' defenses, and I'm so glad that Benally pointed it out. If Jake Moody makes his kicks, we're not even talking about that last drive that Evan Anderson has to stomp out, that drive, at the end of the game, because that's 9 points right there. So
Thought he kicked his ass off.
Better kicker in the building as well too. So yeah, I think that'll do it for this episode. Well, you know what? Before we do that, real quick, Steph, let everybody know what you got going on this week, as far as coverage and everything as well, and everything else that you're going to be doing.
All right. Getting back to the regular scheduled program. So we'll be back with the show on Thursday. Make sure you guys check that out. Subscribe to my channel, Steph49K. And as always, I do the preview shows with Kyle Posey of Niners Nation every Friday when the game is on Sunday. So make sure you guys check that out. It'll definitely be an interesting one to talk about. I'm sure we'll bring up some of the talking points you mentioned here, Jay. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of points will be scored. Are we betting the over on this one?
I haven't looked at that yet, but probably. Probably. I just, again, I think that, when you saw what they were doing last week, they were just doing whatever they wanted, man. So just, I mean, it is what it is. Tampa Bay's playing well. I think offensively, the only teams that you can really say that are at the top of the league, offensively right now, the Lions are on fire, the Bucks are on fire, and hold your ears. I know you're not going to want to hear this. The Dallas Cowboys are on fire. And also the Colts are on fire. No, the Colts are on fire because Jonathan Taylor is incredible. I know a lot of people want to put the onus on Daniel Jones, and rightfully so. But oh my God, what the hell has gotten into Jonathan Taylor, man? He is just a machine, man. He's been everything for them. So, the Bucks are up there. So, and that's what Benally says. We're all expecting points, and watch this be a Salah versus Bowles game. Fine and you know what? I like that better than points going back and forth because that favors the 49ers. That favors the 49ers if it gets down to there. If the 49ers defense goes out there and they slow down this offense, then we've really got to start talking about stonks through the roof, and we've got to go get ourselves another player just to really make this go crazy. But Yeah, so if you guys are gonna be checking it, checking my channel, I'm gonna pull all the clips. I'm gonna do a film breakdown, because the NFL demonetizes all of my film breakdowns. Appreciate you guys because I know you're so poor and you need all the money. But I'm gonna make it for members only. So if you are a member of the channel, you will be able to see all that stuff. I know you guys enjoy the film breakdowns, and everything else is gonna be the same as it goes on this week. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. But that'll do it for this episode of the Bully Ball Podcast on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. Make sure you follow Steph on Twitter at Steph49K. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at JasonAponte2103. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that notification bell for when we go live, and wherever you get your audio podcast, make sure you're subscribed to the Gold Standard Podcast Network. For Steph, for Jay, we're out here.
Peace.